Hi everyone, I'm back to read the back of the book of our book, Marie Grace Makes a Difference, 1853, Book 5, and the back of the book is looking back at health and medicine in America. When Marie Grace was growing up, America was not a healthy place to live. People often consumed food and water that were not safe. There were no refrigerators to prevent harmful bacteria from growing, so food spoiled quickly. Drinking water usually came from the same river that were used as dumping grounds for garbage and human waste. Trash and horse droppings littered city streets. Personal hygiene or cleanliness to maintain health was also different than it is today. In the early 1800s, people washed daily, but they seldom took baths. They thought that cleaning the whole body at once would make them sick. By 1853, most people knew that baths weren't bad for them, but taking one wasn't easy. Since there was no indoor plumbing, water had to be carried into a home by hand, heated, and then poured into a tub. This was a lot of work, so most people bathed only a few times a month. Disease spread quickly in these unclean conditions, but no one knew why. Even the best doctors and scientists didn't yet understand what germs were or that they caused disease. Doctors went from one patient to the next without washing their hands or their medical instruments. They didn't know that they were spreading germs and making people sick. When people got sick, the treatment sometimes made them worse instead of better. Bleeding, for example, was believed to release the bad blood that contained disease. Doctors opened a patient's vein to drain some of the blood. Since the instruments were not sterile or clean, patients could develop infections and get even sicker. Some patients lost so much blood that they fainted. Many doctors believed that bleeding was an effective cure, yet used it to treat everything from a serious fever to a bruise from a fall. In 1853, most medicines simply were not effective at curing serious illnesses. Some were actually dangerous. Calomel, for example, was a popular medicine, but too much of it could be fatal. Patients were told to take calomel until they developed an excessive amount of saliva in their mouths. Doctors thought it was a sign that the treatment was working, but it really meant that the patient was being poisoned. Many medicines didn't harm people, but they didn't help either. In the 1800s, anything could be labeled as medicine. Patent medicines were the various tonic syrups, tablets, and ointments that promised miracle cures for everything from stomach aches to pimples to baldness. One of the most popular cure-all patent medicines was Dr. Miles' compound extract of tomato. It's still sold today, but it's called ketchup. The ingredients in the patent medicines were kept secret. They were usually made from herbs, and most of them contained a great deal of alcohol. Some medicines even included deadly substances such as turpentine and kerosene. Unlike today, the makers of these medicines did not have to prove that their tonics were effective or even safe. One store in Topeka, Kansas, displayed a sign that read, "We sell patent medicine, but do not recommend them." In the 1800s, almost all health care took place at home. Wives and mothers often consulted medical manuals and self-help books, or tried home remedies that they had learned from their own mothers. When people decided they needed a doctor, the doctor came to them. Physicians made house calls more often than they treated patients in offices or hospitals. Like Marie Grace's father, most doctors did their best to cure people with the knowledge, tools, and medicines they had. When sickness struck, families kept a constant watch over their loved ones, just as Marie Grace did when Mademoiselle Oceane fell ill. Friends and neighbors took turns staying throughout the night so that the family members could rest. Such compassion was also extended to strangers. When a Boston merchant traveling through Worcester, Massachusetts, became seriously ill, a lawyer whom he'd known only a day took over his care. The lawyer spent more than a week nursing the sick stranger, until he was well enough to go home. During the yellow fever epidemic in 1853, women and girls in New Orleans really did volunteer at temporary infirmaries. They tended patients so that the nurses could get a few hours of sleep. Good nursing generally saved more lives than aggressive medical treatments. Patients who were kept cool and comfortable, bathed and given liquids, tended to recover more quickly than patients who were bled or given medicines. Yet, as important as nursing was, women received very little formal training. They learned the job from their mothers or from other nurses. Nursing was thought of as something certain women were born to do, much like a religious calling. That idea may have come from the fact that the nuns provided many nursing services throughout the 1800s. The first nursing school opened in America in 1872. Around that time, people were beginning to understand the role that germs play in causing diseases. In the United States today, there are fewer diseases that are likely to become epidemics. Living conditions are much cleaner and safer than they were when Marie Grace was growing up. Doctors and scientists have a better understanding of how the body works, and medicines are more effective at curing illnesses. Okay, and that is the end of our book, Marie Grace Makes a Difference, from 1853, Book 5. I hope you liked it, and next time we'll read Book 6.